Welcome, everybody. Friday, May 12th. John Aravosis here at the Aravosis Report, here to talk to you about the latest news from Ukraine. Woo! Anyway, as always, let's get TikTok rolling here on my iPad, and then we will wait 2 to 3 minutes for folks to arrive from Twitch and YouTube and everywhere else. I'm melting here because Chicago is very nice weather. A little too nice. Michaela! She's back. I was running a couple minutes late, but I'm here now. Good evening, all. Kef. And everybody do me a favor and just give a quick shout out where you're from for folks, because that's always nice. Woo! Another busy news day. I was going to say big news day. Busy news day, at least. Oh, wait a minute. Can you hear now? I didn't have my mic on. Is the mic working? Was it just away from me, or for TikTok this is? Sound now or no? Nope. Okay. Unplug. All right. I unplugged and plugged back in. TikTok being evil. There we go. Yep. Very weird. I don't know why TikTok does this. It just doesn't like my mic at first, and then it likes it. It's very weird. Anyway, hello all. Hello Ireland. Anyway, hello everybody. So, we'll take about 2 or 3 minutes, like I said, and let everybody arrive and then get rolling. All right. Thank you for the gift already there. Was that Big Gator Girl, BJ Gator Girl? Thank you. Oh, yeah. Only 14 topics. I even cut back. Although a lot of them are quick. A lot of them are quick topics. So I've got quick updates on things. There was a Prigozhin topic that was long. Oh, hair's exploding. But I just kind of cut it short, and now it's short. I am getting a haircut in 2 weeks, and I'm so excited because my hair is driving me insane. It's like big hair. Drives me crazy. Anyway, let's wait another minute and then we'll start. Like I said, I just like to give folks enough of a chance to arrive here. There we go. Adjust my screen. Anyway, aren't we all? So what else, folks? 30 more seconds, and then we will start. Woo-woo. All right. All right, guys, I will do my intro. Hey, everybody. Thank you for the gifts. Was that Tom? Thank you for the gifts, Tom, and others. Mustard, I see you're there, and Ellie. So welcome, guys. I'm John Aravosis. This is the Aravosis Report. It is my nightly show, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S., where we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. Tonight, got a lot of news, but a lot of it's quick stuff, too. So I'm going to kind of cut through, hopefully, pretty quickly. What else? Oh, yeah. So the way the show works, if anybody's new, is about half the show, I will present the news. The second half, I take your guys' questions. Thank you for the Friday gift, Allie. It's very top. I was looking for that, actually. I forgot about that. But the way it works is if you guys have questions for me on TikTok, submit them via the Q&A link that's in my profile. Thank you, Carol, for the flowers. Use the Q&A link that's in my profile on TikTok because that'll line the questions up and makes it much easier. For the rest of you on YouTube and everywhere else, use the comment box at the bottom. I do very much appreciate your guys' gifts because I do this for free, and I've been doing it since the war broke out. This is my full-time job. Nobody's paying me to do this, but you are paying me to do this. Thank you, Flint Reed, with the super chat comment. But yeah, so if you can keep the gifts coming, I appreciate it because it helps me keep doing the show. On TikTok, that means the TikTok gifts, and I will always try to do a shout out when I see them pop up on the screen. Occasionally they fly by and I don't see them, but usually I do, and I always try to shout out like that from Jonathan. And you guys on YouTube, exactly, the super chat questions, super stickers, Susan, and Susan's being crazy generous again. And Jordan with the fan star. Thank you, Susan. Always sweet. We miss you. Hope you're doing well. So there you go. So let's dive right in. Today's day 442 of Vladimir Putin's 10-day special military operation. Remember, tomorrow we've got a special Eurovision, not contest, but Eurovision watch party we're going to be having. It's the big, sort of European, mostly European song contest, really a big deal in the rest of the world. In America, not as much. Thank you, Tom, for that. Last year we decided, and Faye, was that Faye? Foxy. Oh, Foxy. Thank you, Foxy. Last year we decided to get all of us together and we watched it. It was fun. Basically, we watched it on our computers or on our TVs or whatever, but we all get together here on TikTok and over here on YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else, and we hang out and watch it. It was a lot of fun. This year, what I'm going to do, I've got a couple free gifts that I will be offering during the show. Got 3 of them. The last one I'll show you guys when we're over there. But all you have to do is go to my Discord, sign up, and find the auctions. Oh, thank you, TV Chris. Find the auctions and look for these 2 gifts. They're literally marked free, or there's 3 of them marked free. And you got to add a comment in there that says you're interested. And I will pick somebody at random, but you got to sign up for my Discord and then go to the auction areas. I've got a couple pieces of the Berlin Wall that I broke off in 1989, including a very small piece that has blue color on it, which is very cool because those are the ones you want. But I broke, long story on my breaking these off. I was there for work. And really cool Ukrainian fridge magnet with the Russian warship "Go F Yourself" stamp. The Ukrainian soldier is giving the middle finger to the Moskva boat. That's the boat that the Ukrainians told to go F itself. And then 6 weeks later, the Ukrainians sank it. Talk about the best revenge. But both of these will be free gifts for folks, including a military sticker, a military patch, and very simple. Sign up for my Discord, discord.aravosis.com. You can find the address in my profile. Go to the Linktree profile on TikTok, click it. All my addresses are there. You guys can go to aravosis.com at the bottom of your screen and find the auctions. And when you find them, find the free item, so to speak. And if you add a comment in whichever ones you're interested in, you're entered for me to randomly pick someone. So there you go. Thank you for the little blah, blah thing. All right, let's keep going here. So senior U.S. officials and a top Western official both said, although something we already knew, but both said that, thank you. Was it Mark Starr? Thank you, Markstar. Both said that Ukraine is now has become shaping operations in preparation for the counteroffensive. Now, shaping operations are basically when militaries prepare, sort of, thank you, Panda, for that. I'm trying to sure what word to use here. Sort of prepare the ground. They make things ready and they make conditions better for the upcoming invasion, the upcoming attack, the upcoming, in this case, Ukraine, the big counteroffensive they're planning. That means they start attacking fuel depots. They start attacking, could be places that have food, could be places that have ammunition, right? But they're trying to blow up things that the Russians will be using to defend themselves when Ukraine finally does its big counterattack. And it's usually a sign that we're getting closer to the counterattack when these shaping operations take place. We've been noticing it. I mean, we've been talking about it for 2 weeks now, that Ukraine's been blowing up trains. They've been blowing up oil depots in Russia, right? So a lot of things that Russia needs to get more supplies, fuel, etc. So anyway, now it's official, at least from Western leaders or Western military is saying that, yes, in fact, Ukraine's doing that. Thank you, Flint. I do have the map handy. Hang on. Oh, I've got the map all the way over here. I try to put it, our handy dandy Ukraine map. People wanted to see it. I try to get it out of the way when the show is over so it's not totally cluttering up my mother's house. Visiting her in Chicago this month. Normally I'm in Washington, D.C. Here's your map. Thank you, Flint, for the contribution. So let's kind of go on with this. So oil. There was a very interesting attack today by Ukraine. Had to be Ukraine. One of those where I don't know if Ukraine admitted it or not, but they attacked a factory. I read differing things, some saying it was sort of an oil depot, oil storage, others saying, and maybe it's both, it was used by Russian military to repair weapons and things. So, right? I mean, kind of a mixture, but it was blown up, and I mean blown up. There's video all over the place of this. It was destroyed by some very precision bombs. Some folks got really across the street basically and filmed it, which is great for the Ukrainians and the Americans and everybody else, because it really shows you exactly what was blown up and to what degree, what you hit, what you didn't hit. Well, it looks like it was a perfect hit on this building. Now, one of the things, hey, Crutch in Colorado, it was in the Luhansk region. Now, the interesting thing is the town of Luhansk is here. I was seeing on CNN, they were saying it was higher up. So I'm not sure exactly if it was up here or where it was. I thought it was the town of Luhansk, but they may have been saying the region. Because one of the things that gets confusing in crime is each region, each state, the lead city of that state is named after the state, or vice versa. So like Luhansk region, the capital is Luhansk. Zaporizhia region, the top city is Zaporizhia, right? Kherson region, Kherson. So it gets confusing sometimes because you hear people say Luhansk and you go, wait, was it the city or the region? In any case, it was the easternmost state in Ukraine. And it looks like the Brits blew it up. A couple interesting things. The distance was around 100 kilometers or 60 miles. Generally speaking, thank you, Yves, for that, or merci. Generally speaking, they're saying that it was farther than any known weapon that the Ukrainians have, other than the new British cruise missiles. Now, I'm not sure when you're talking 100 kilometers or 60 miles, the HIMARS can potentially go that far. Typically, we are not told. It's classified, basically. Thank you, Tom Clark. It's classified, the actual range that these weapons go. So when they tell us publicly, like for the HIMARS, for example, they tell us that it can go 40 miles or was it 70 or 75 kilometers, something like that. And, no, it goes farther than that. I know from the stuff I've read, the HIMARS can go pretty much, I think, like 60 miles or 100 kilometers, but maybe it can go even farther. Anyway, people are saying that this attack today was farther than the current known range that the Ukrainian missiles can go, which is why they believe it's the first use of the British missiles. Thank you, Crazy Ann, that it's the first use, or Crazy American, and the Crazy Ann had said that it was the British missiles, the British cruise missiles that we found out about this week. Very big deal. Storm Shadow for the win. Exactly, Flint Reed. And oops, sorry, real quick. May, thank you for the star. I got a lot of stuff on this. So the Storm Shadow. So the Storm Shadow is the British cruise missile. This was the one we found out this week that Ukraine was getting, and then we found out the next day, oh, they've already got it, right? It is fired typically. I say typically because who the hell knows with the Ukrainians? I mean, these guys, they're like Slavic MacGyvers. Thank you, Inspired Woman, for that. But typically it's fired from an airplane. Thank you, Fred. And its range is, well, the range we gave the Ukrainians, at least, or I should say the Brits did. Thank you, Streetcar, for that. The range can go much farther, but the Brits gave the Ukrainians a version that can go 150 to 200 miles, up to, so more like, which would be like 250 to 300 kilometers, 240 to 300 kilometers. The importance of that, the significance of that distance is, thank you, Timothy, for the boat. The importance of that distance is that gets all of Ukraine, all of the occupied territory that the Russians are occupying, within range of Ukrainian forces by getting this. You've got the Russians occupying all of this, okay? All of this, which means the closest the Ukrainians can get, usually, I mean, with the planes, they can try to zoom in a little bit, but in principle, the closest they can get is the front line. And the front line is going to be more or less like this. Well, basically, and you'd have to sort of see it on the map, when you get to 300 kilometers, you're getting all the way to here. Now, that means they could attack Russia, but they already promised they're not going to attack Russia. But the good thing is it means all of the Russian area here, they can hit. They can hit the Russian weapons. They can hit the Russian supplies. They can hit the Russian military headquarters. They can hit the Russian bridges. Hello, right? Kerch Bridge down here. They can hit Russian boats and submarines in port. So meaning if they're on the sea moving, it might be more difficult. But right here, Sevastopol, huge military base for the Russians, naval base. So this is a big deal. And the thing is, and again, maybe we will find out, maybe we won't, if this was the British cruise missile, but it certainly acted like it. Who was that? Real quick. Amanda. Oh, thank you, Amanda, for that. It certainly acted like it because it was such a precision hit at a great distance. Bad news for Russia. Oh, the other thing we found out, so this was interesting too. The other thing we found out today is that the Americans have also given the Ukrainians ADM-160B MALD or MALD standoff decoys, which are, at least we believe that's what, or the experts believe that was used today, which are decoys. They kind of look like small drones in a way. I mean, missile drones, but they're electronic decoys that can give the signature. In other words, they can make themselves look, in terms of what the Russians see on their instruments, they can look like planes, they can look like drones, they can look like B-52s, I mean, anything. So the thinking is that the Ukrainians use the British missiles that already have really good stealth abilities, so they're good at hiding, and then used these extra American decoys just to be the icing on the cake, right? So that it's hard enough to see the cruise missile, but you see these other missiles, and again, it could mask itself as any kind of missile. You see these other missiles coming in and you go for them. And it allowed them to blow up this factory completely, which is very good. The Russians, you will be surprised to hear the Russians are really pissed off. Hang on, sip of water here. The Russians said today that it is an extremely hostile step from the British people giving these weapons to Ukraine. Thank you, Kathleen. And Michael Clark on Fox News said, the missiles are very good. Thank you again, Kathleen. Oh, Kathleen's just going for it. Thanks for all the tulips, Kathleen. Oh, Kathleen, you're not stopping here. Thank you. I appreciate that. Michael Clark, defense expert on Sky News, said that the British missiles are very good and can hit more or less anything. He added, nothing shoots them down. So, of course, the Russians are worried about this. And thank you again, Kathleen. So, of course, the Russians are worried about this. He also added something, and I don't know. Thank you, Bonnie. I saw Kathleen did another one, and thank you, Bonnie, too. You guys are competing now. Thanks, guys or gals. He also threw in a quote from Ben Wallace, who's the British Defense Secretary. And I don't know if this was something that Wallace said with regards to the missiles this week or previously with some aid, but it was a good quote regardless. Wallace said, he's paraphrasing him. In the House of Commons, he said, yes, we are escalating. In other words, because the Russians say, they said it again this week, you're escalating, right? Yes, we are escalating because we are looking at what you are doing. This is a message to you, Moscow. I'm just like, yay. You know, I would love us to, thank you, Inspired Woman. I would love us to be saying the same thing to them, because part of what this is, you know, in dealing with Russia, I feel like part of this is we're dealing with a spoiled child, you know, and we've got to basically tell them, okay, you're going to act up and commit genocide, then we're going to punish you. And every time you do something else that's wrong, we're going to punish you again. Thank you. Was it Moskrenium? No idea how to pronounce your name, but thank you for the gift there. And I think we need to keep linking the two, and the Brits did directly, which is great, saying, yeah, it is escalation, and we did it because of what you just did. And here's our message to you. In other words, and we're going to keep doing it if you keep doing it, which is a brilliant message to be telling them. Thank you, Sean, an Inspired Woman. Oh, the fundraiser. So let me give you an update on our fundraiser here. This was great. So remember the last couple of days was asking you guys for help. We were raising money to buy a pickup truck for Ukrainian National Guard unit. These were soldiers who have been fighting in Bakmut. Fundraiser's over. We got it. But we were soldiers who have been fighting in Bakmut. Remember, Bakmut is the Ukrainian town, eastern Ukraine. Russians have been trying for 11 months to get it. I mean, it's a joke, really. The town just isn't that strategically important. Thank you for the confetti, who was that panda. Isn't that strategically important? We don't know why the Russians keep going for it, but they do. And the Ukrainians were like, sure, you want to kill yourselves, literally trying to take this town? Please do. So Ukrainians have been fighting back quite well. Thank you for the heart there, Just Scroll. And in Bakmut, the troops contacted us and said, you know, they've been in Bakmut for a while. Their vehicles got destroyed. They had new orders coming in. And in fact, while we were raising the money, their orders came in. They've got to travel on Sunday, you know, to whatever front they're going to. But they got in, the orders came in and they needed to get the truck today. So what happened was, I told you guys last night, we were still trying to get another $800 or so. I think we may have ended up getting 1,000 from you guys. I don't recall exactly, but bottom line is Vlad told me in total, we raised $2,075 from you guys. And they had already raised 4,000, maybe 4,200 or so from Ukrainians as well. Hold on. Got a nice, is this Happy Beach? I think I saw Happy Beach. Was that Happy Beach? Yes, it was. Thank you for that. That was very nice of you. I know that. Colonel Mustard gave a few hundred last night. Good for you. Thank you for that. Well, we got it. They bought it today. Vlad said the price of the vehicle was $6,300, which was exactly what they were looking for. They're assessing it now to figure out any repairs it needs. They're going to paint it. Obviously, it's got to be painted, camouflage, whatever camouflage is appropriate. But just to tell you guys, thank you. We did it. I'm very happy. And again, Ukrainians pitched in a lot too, but you guys pitched in. I mean, and Vlad said, thank you. You guys did it, because they were really worried they weren't going to get enough money to basically be able to get this. Thank you, Martin, for the love. So thanks, guys. This was great. Like I said, I love doing these kind of fundraisers because it's literally a direct thing that we can do to help people, because I don't like giving money to big organizations, because I know what happens. It goes to their salaries and everything else. I didn't take the money. Vlad didn't take the money. It just went to buy the damn truck. So You all rock. Your vehicle is going to be fighting possibly as early as Sunday night. I mean, depending where these guys are going and when, on some front in Ukraine, at least it's going to be engaged and in use on Sunday. So that's pretty cool. All right, more news. Keep the gifts coming again, please. Part of occupied city of Melita is without power today. Looks like the Ukrainians knocked it out. This is all part of that shaping I was telling you, right? Where they go and they just are slowly knocking out areas and knocking out things that could help the Russians. That's got to be Flower Lady with the cool flowers on TikTok. I know, I recognize that one, the Mirror Bloom. Thank you. Melita down here, Russian occupied. Remember, the Russians are occupying all of this. So Melita down here. Melita could end up being very important. You guys can still hear, right? Somebody said they can't hear on TikTok. I'm assuming you guys are okay. It was one person. Just let me know. Melita down here, going to be very important because this is an area where it is certainly a high priority area. Okay. We don't know what Ukraine's going after first. We don't know if they're going to go after multiple areas at the same time. We do know that the big prize is Crimea eventually. In order to get that, Ukraine needs to cut Crimea off from the other Russian held territories. Oh, I saw that. Thank you, killers, for that. From the other Russian territories. And the way they do that is by taking Kherson or Zaporizhia provinces, this one, or both. They could do it by taking Kherson, and now you've cut this off and put you in a position to then attack here or attack here, right? Or you could do it by taking Zaporizhia here, and then again, you've cut off Crimea and Kherson, and you still can go up here or down here for sort of the next attack. So big deal there. So that's what I'm saying, but that's why I think they're going after Melita because they're trying to just like start killing the power in the area, which again hurts the Russians trying to do their planning for the counteroffensive. Bash Brannigan. Let me see here. Hang on, Bash. I saw Flint's. Sorry, saw Susan's. The map. The Storm Shadow. Oh, here we go. There's Bash. Did you visit Ukraine before the war? Impressions that I did not. I was, it's funny. I got offered a job years ago, but we're talking 30 years ago, to work in Ukraine right after it left the Soviet Union. And I just, I didn't want to leave DC. I should have, because it was crazy not to take the job, but I got offered it when I was like 30 and I should have taken the damn job because it would have been so cool. And especially, well, now more than ever, but even then it would have been very interesting though. But what do you do, But anyway, thank you for that, Bash. It's funny. I saw it and I saved it and then forgot to bring it up. So I apologize for that. Jamie with the super sticker. I did not see yours, Jamie. Thank you for that. And Flint, did I see this? Been seeing a lot of bridging tank footage last few days, John. Where would they use those? Bridging tank? Not sure what that means. Can somebody, either you or someone else in the comments, explain what you meant by that? Bridging tank? If it's a term I'm not familiar with, I would have learned to speak Ukrainian. I know. It would have been nice, especially now. That would have been fabulous. Can you imagine? Bridging tank? People are saying mobile bridges. Are you saying those bridges that, like those mobile bridges they can put out for the tanks? Is that what you mean? Oh, a tank that deploys a bridge. Ah, okay. Yes, that's what it is. Okay. Oh, a bridging tank, a tank that deploys bridges. Got you. I don't know anything about it right now. I know a few months ago I'd even watched some videos on them because they were really cool. They were talking about giving them to Ukraine, and I was watching these bridges on those in concert with demining devices. And I think to some degree how they could even, like, it demines an area going straight ahead, and then the bridge lays in that area, so it makes it safe that the cars don't, that the trucks don't have to go anywhere else, or the whatever. But so I did, yes. I'm familiar with it, but I know nothing about what's going on now with it. Where would they use those? Well, okay. I mean, I guess that's a possibility right there. The thing that, what do you guys think? I mean, some of you guys know this stuff. Where would they use it? I mean, from what I had seen in the video months ago, the video I saw, it was alongside demining equipment, so that basically the truck or whatever it is demines an area, and that path is where the bridge would go across, is what I'd seen. But I don't know more than that as far as how else they would use it. I don't know. Do you use it over, okay, river crossing, people are saying, would you use it over trenches as well? In other words, so like, okay, trenches, there you go. Voila. Nihawk is saying trenches. Small streams and rivers. Okay. Novakahovka. Well, I don't know. It might be too big to go over the Dnipro, I would think, right? That's not going to be too big of a river. Western tanks are very heavy. Ukrainian bridges are too weak. Okay. Are these the kind of things, though, that would build a good enough bridge, for example, to go over, over trenches? Okay. That's what I was thinking. Okay. Okay. There you go. Creeks, dug trenches, etc. Oh, thank you, Bill. You didn't have to pay for that, but I appreciate that. Hey, I'm just saying, you guys know all this stuff. It's amazing me. Not big enough for Dnipro. An armored vehicle launch bridge, AVLB, is a combat support vehicle, sometimes regarded as a subtype of military engineering vehicle designed to assist militaries in rapidly, and I'm sure it's for Raggedy Man Rusty, rapidly deploying bridges, I'm going to say, or crossing areas. Help bridge tank traps. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Cool. Well, thanks, guys. Swampland. Oh, that's interesting, too. Well, I guess the question is how long these bridges can go, right? How long can the bridges go? I mean, can they help, like, how much of a swampland does it help to get over? Well, trenches, I was thinking exactly that, right? That you at least lay it over trenches, 63 feet, 20 meters. Okay, that's the same, 60 feet. Okay, 60 feet. Yeah, that's not so long. I mean, that's okay, but that's not so long. And somebody on TikTok was saying trolls galore today. It looks like Ukraine used the British cruise missile today to perfectly blow up a Russian factory in eastern Ukraine, and the Russians are not very happy. So I think we should expect a troll invasion today. Thank you, Russell. I also have some other news in a second about the Patriot missile. About the when they took out the hypersonic missile of the Russians. That one's hysterical. I'm going to tell you that update I'll give you. The trolls are going to love that one. If you see a pic of one, you would never think it was a real vehicle. It looks so weird, says Flint. Interesting. Okay. All right. Speaking of tanks, Ukraine announced today it's deploying a new kind of tank. It had a name. I'm forgetting the name. Was it Propop or Opropo something? Some funny name. But it's a Ukrainian-made tank. They claim they're deploying it at the front. I will say this. General Kimmett, former American general, very well known, was on CNN earlier and was asked about it. And he said, Uplot. There you go. Uplot. Or Uplot, depending how you pronounce it. And he was saying that it's not clear that it's going to have a big impact yet, meaning it's probably next year that they're going to be using the new tanks they're making. But still very impressive. The Ukrainians are literally making their own tank. Kind of amazing. They made their own cruise missile when the Neptune that they used to blow up the Moskva, back in April of last year. Remember the Russian warship Go F Yourself ship? 6 weeks later, the Ukrainians blew it up with a cruise missile they made themselves. So tanks could be pretty cool. Now, listen to this story. This is a great story. So how last week Ukraine blew up a hypersonic Russian missile. And these are the missiles that supposedly can go 10 times the speed of sound. I mean, crazy, actually more than 10 times. I think I saw something that even said 1,000 miles and 10,000 miles an hour or something crazy, but at least like 10 times the speed of sound, which would be like 5,000 miles an hour. Very quick, these things. And supposedly they're impossible to shoot down because they go so quickly. Well, Ukraine shot one down last week. Did it with Patriot missile battery that we had just given them. It was like the first thing that we know, 15,000 miles per hour. Okay, that's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy fast. And Russia's been bragging about these all year because remember this was we're going to use these to nuke London and blah, 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 this kind of stuff, right? So the Ukrainians, of course, shoot it down. Literally just after they learned to use the Patriots, the Ukrainians shoot it down. There's more to the story. Listen to this. This was from Sky News quoting CNN. Listen to this. Russia tried to destroy a U.S.-made Patriot air defense system in Ukraine last week with a hypersonic missile, according to two U.S. officials talking to CNN. The attack failed, and the Ukrainian military instead intercepted the missiles using the Patriot system, the officials said, marking their first known successful use of the advanced air defense system only weeks after it arrived. Here we go. I did have it here. The Ukrainian air defenders. So basically, the Russians picked up on the signal of the Patriot and said, we're going to destroy it. Let's send in our best missile. So they sent in their best missile, and the Ukrainians said, let's do it. So they used the missile the Russians were targeting and blew up the Russian missile. I mean, amazing. The Ukrainian air defenders fired multiple missiles from the Patriot at different angles to intercept the Russian missile, demonstrating they have quickly become adept at using the powerful system, said one official. I mean, damn, that's amazing. That's amazing. You know, anyway, that just blows my mind that they were able to do it. But also and also you can imagine somebody in the Kremlin losing his mind that it was their fault. I mean, they saw the system and said, let's take it out. And that's how the Ukrainians saw the hypersonic missile and said, oh, you're coming for our system. Maybe our system can take you out first. And it did. Anyway, absolutely amazing. I love that stuff. Bakmut. Actually, let me talk about my Discord really quick, and then we'll talk about Bakmut. So lots of more interesting news from Bakmut again. So my Discord community, I was telling you guys about it earlier because we've got the cool gifts that I'm giving away tomorrow afternoon. Ukrainian fridge magnet with the Russian warship Go F Yourself. And some pieces of the Berlin Wall that I broke off December 3rd, 1989, when I was there with a congressional delegation, when I worked in the U.S. Congress doing arms control stuff. So they're real pieces, have a little bit of paint, a little bit of blue. You can't see here, but there's a little bit of blue paint on the piece in there, hard to see it at the bottom. But I'm giving them away for free, and we're going to do it during the Eurovision contest tomorrow. We're going to watch the contest live together. I'm going to beam on TikTok, and I'll be beaming to YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else. But the way you can win those, they're free, is I've got those and another military patch. Go to my Discord, go to the auction section of the Discord. One is for VIPs, which are the paying members. One is for the free people. A lot of you are free, which is fine. And simply find the auction item, go in there and leave a comment that says, yes, add me too. And I'm going to pick somebody at random. I'm literally going to figure out how many people are there. If there's 60 people, I'm going to get a random number generator and have it pick a number 1 to 60. And I'm going to count down, and that's the person who gets it. 3 different prizes. And if you want to, check it out. But it's my Discord. Go to my Discord. It's discord.aravosis.com. You can find it with that address, or also on TikTok. Thank you, Patrick. On TikTok, you can just go to my profile and look for the Linktree link in my profile, click it, and that takes you to my page of links, and you'll see my Discord right in there. You guys, a couple different things. You can use the tiny URL at the bottom of the page. Thank you for that. You guys are going nuts with that little fan star today. Thank you, just scrolling along. I hadn't seen that one before, I don't think. You can use the aravosis.com link, which will give you all of my links, but go to the Discord, check it out. And my final pitch for the Discord, if the spirit so moves you, maybe consider becoming a paying member, because it allows you to basically give me a contribution each month, which I would appreciate, because as I said, I do this for free. I do it full time. This is my job, and no one pays me but you guys. So you make it possible for me to keep doing this. So I very much appreciate it. Thank you, Russell, there. But if you become a paying member of the Discord, that means you can join my Saturday show every Saturday morning, except not tomorrow because we're doing the Eurovision. I have a special show for the paying Discord people and for the TikTok people who are the paid TikTok subscribers, and we hang out. You also get access to the VIP auction, which is a separate auction area for really cool stuff I got from Ukraine. And the auctions, 50% of the auction proceeds go back to Ukraine, because I want to sort of have the stuff help Ukraine. And we've already, I don't even know now, maybe $8,000 or $10,000 we've given to Ukraine via the auction, and another 80 or 90,000 via just the fundraisers we've done anyway with you guys. So anyway, so go check out my Discord, but I try to get 2 people each time to subscribe and become paid subscribers. I would appreciate it if you could. It's discord.aravosis.com. Lori, thank you for the fan star. Discord.aravosis.com. Donate stuff for auction. You can, yeah, depending what you got. Sure. I'm not sure what the best way is to contact me. But actually, you can send a message. I think you can send messages on Twitch, can't you? I have no idea how Twitch works in that regard. Some chunks of some Russian tanks. Well, if Customs is okay with them, yeah, I would say Customs told you they don't mind. Wow. If Customs tells you they don't mind and you're able to get cool stuff, I'm happy to, we'll auction it off. It's probably the kind of thing. Oh, you messaged me a while back on Discord. volunteer instructor. Okay, I don't remember who I responded to. You know what you can do? I mean, my email is mylastname@gmail.com. It's not like it's rocket science. It's out there. So it's mylastname@gmail.com. Just send me a message, Sam. But fill me in, because I think that would be cool. As long as customs is okay with it, it's the kind of thing that I probably would keep to a U.S. only auction, because mailing it out again, then you're dealing with international customs. But if U.S. customs is fine, that would be totally cool. Yeah, that would be very cool. Thank you. That's funny. As long as the label says for personal collection. Okay, funny. All right, good. Interesting. U.S. has funny laws in that regard, I mean, because we're funny about military stuff. I mean, well, obviously guns and everything else, we're a little weird about that issue. But yeah, anyway, cool. I like that kind of stuff. I personal collection. I'm exactly the kind of guy who would collect kind of stuff like this for personal stuff, because I think it's fascinating. In any case, yes, that would be amazing. Thank you. But feel free to email me and we can chat offline, or I can go back to Twitch, and whichever account it is on Twitch. I've got 2 accounts now, this is my daily account, the Aravosis Report Daily. I can go look at that one too. All right. Thank you for that. That's really cool. Bakmut. I got a lot of news today, guys. I'm sorry, because we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. So Bakmut, is, and we mentioned at the beginning of the show, the Ukrainian town in the east. Boom, right here. Russians have been trying to capture it. I'll give you the whole map. Now you can get a whole sense, right? The whole map. In the east here, Russians have been trying to capture it for 11 months and doing a very bad job of it. Very bad job. Actually, I'm marking your messages, Sam. I'll look at them afterwards. Doing a very bad job of it. And there's been this blow up in the last couple of weeks with Prigozhin. Prigozhin is the Russian oligarch. Okay. He's the Russian billionaire. He's in charge of the Wagner mercenary group, who are the soldiers for hire, Russian soldiers for hire. They do work for governments in Africa, basically being their warriors in essence. And they're also, obviously doing the work in Ukraine, because they're still under the control of Vladimir Putin, because it's still kind of a dictatorship there. So it's not like independent companies actually really work independently if they're Russian companies, right? So anyway, Prigozhin's been causing a lot of hell. Last week, he did a video in front of dead Russian bodies. He did a video and accused the defense minister and the top Russian general of killing all these troops. Turns and says, "Put your camera on. I want them to see the bodies." And you see dozens. There were probably 100 of them. Dozens of dead Russian soldiers, mercenaries in this case, but they're still Russians. Dead Russian soldiers, and he lined them up. And he's at the camera screaming at the defense minister and screaming at the joint chiefs, or the chief of staff. Basically the equivalent of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in Russia, their top general, and saying, "You killed these people. You wouldn't give us enough ammunition. You wouldn't give us enough support." Claims then. And he said, "And we're leaving. We're leaving. I'm pulling my troops out of Bakmut. We're not staying." Not clear at all that he can do that. It's not, they're not his troops in that sense. They're Putin's troops, right? So Putin would have to pull them out. The next day he says, "I'm leaving." Then the next day he says, "Oh, they came through. They're giving me the weapons. Yay." The next day he says, "They took the weapons away." I mean, literally, he gave numbers though. He's like, "They told us we were getting 75. I remember one was 7,500 of this ammunition, and instead they're giving us 760. So like 10% of what they promised him." So he's complaining again, says he may leave, says he may not leave. Well, first of all, he's seriously, according to Institute for Study, Meduza, which is a very good independent Russian news group, basically. And they're independent, they're very good, they're fair. They talked to some sources in the Kremlin, their sources, who told them, Putin and everybody are supremely pissed at Prigozhin, absolutely pissed at him, that he's, undercutting Putin, undercutting the war effort with all of this, etc. Not good news for Prigozhin, because people, when you start to piss off the Kremlin, you start to end up drinking tea that kills you or going flying out of a balcony, quite literally in both of these cases. But this was one of my favorite Prigozhin moments. I'm putting on my glasses to read this one. So this came via Sky News. Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin has responded to an acknowledgement by the Russian Defense Ministry that its forces have retreated from areas north of the embattled city of Bakmut. Okay, so Prigozhin said that, the troops left, right? The Russian troops sort of fled north of Bakmut. The Russian Defense Ministry came out. Here we go. In an update today, the defense ministry said its troops had been redeployed to more advantageous defensive positions northwest of the eastern Ukrainian city. So they responded because Prigozhin was complaining that the Russian troops got scared and left. The Russian defense ministry, mind you, this guy like works for Putin, really, right? The Russian defense ministry puts out a statement and says, yes, the troops redeployed. They redeployed to more advantageous defensive positions. Prigozhin turns around and says, they didn't redeploy, they're fleeing, quote unquote. They were fleeing their positions and not regrouping. He put this out on his press service that he uses on his Telegram channel. I mean, can you imagine, like, can you imagine like an American, he's not a general, but like an American commander sitting there and like, we're at war. And the president says, no, we didn't flee. Our troops were regrouping. And one of the commanders goes, we didn't regroup. Your troops literally ran for their lives. And mind you, there's video. The Ukrainians released video earlier this week showing the Russian troops like literally running for their lives. And there was a Ukrainian drone chasing it. I mean, it's, you know, if these guys weren't war criminals, I would feel sorry for them because you're just kind of going, oh, they're not, you know, the problem is a lot of these guys are just regular people who got drafted, you know, a lot of them are prisoners too. So they're not nice guys, but it's anyway. Thank you, PS Pam Pam. Czech President Petro Pavel, who's a former general and former top military advisor to the to the Secretary General of NATO, said today that Ukraine has a high chance of significant success in the counteroffensive, but it might come at a high cost in terms of casualties. He also said Ukraine would eventually get Western fighter jets, he believes, but it was impossible to deliver them in time for the upcoming offensive and that there were higher priorities such as ammunition. I think that the chance for a significant Ukrainian success with the counteroffensive is really high. That's good to hear. Thank you, Stephanie. I will say in part it's good to hear because, you know, you don't want to inflate it too much, right? Like, because you inflate it too much, like, oh, I think it's really going to go well. And then anything short of that looks bad, right? So I'm intrigued that he, as somebody who is self-proclaimed not very diplomatic, he's a general. And he says he's not a diplomatic guy, doesn't like to use diplomatic language. He says it as it is, means that he really thinks that's the deal, which is great. I'm also intrigued that he just kind of threw there in the middle that he thinks eventually Ukraine's going to get the Western fighter jets. Again, a little bit annoying because, you know, then let's get them the damn jets. Great. I think it's the UK, isn't it, that's doing the training on them anyway? And that we were all kind of surprised why the UK was doing it when it hadn't been approved, but that's good. And honestly, they may even be getting some training here. Remember that whole thing when they had the 2 Ukrainian soldiers that they brought to the US and they were, they didn't call it training. They said they were testing them on the Patriot training systems. Not Patriot, I'm sorry, on the F-16 training systems. And we were like, what's that about? So yeah, Callum says the Brits are in fact training. That's what I thought I'd read. Yeah. So, you know, good, let's hope, right? U.S. secretly training maybe. I mean, PB&J, I'll answer your question because it literally is relevant to this. Do I think the U.S. is secretly training Ukrainians in F-16s? Maybe. I mean, I'll say this, you know, as I said, Biden worries me. I think he's a little afraid of Putin. There's always a possibility that he's an evil genius in the background and he's had all of this under control, right? That he's been doing the training, that everything. I mean, maybe. If that comes out, I will be the first to praise him. I hope we are training them in F-16s and basically just saying no, again, in order to kind of offset the Russians and keep them at bay somehow. But it's possible. That little thing made no sense about the 2 Ukrainian troops that we brought to test on the F-16 training system. That just test. What does that mean? It made, to me, it sounded like we were bringing 2 over to see how they did in training, like put them on the system with a little bit of training and see how they do and see, is it a disaster or did these guys surprise us? And we went, holy cow, they were really good. And then we said, okay, maybe it's worth going and doing a much bigger program. That's my guess. We don't know though what happened as a result, but my suspicion is it went very well. Hey, Joanna, good to see you. USA never shows its hand unless you're Trump, says Chris. You shouldn't. I mean, absolutely, you shouldn't. I mean, from the beginning, a lot of us have been getting worried that we feel like all the allies have been sort of showing their hand and debating the weapons in public, like that whole tank thing with the Germans. It sure felt like it was something discussed in public. Maybe again, it was a pilot program. Exactly. That's cute. But that's exactly it. A pilot program. Anyway, all right. Few more stories. Beep, beep, beep. 2 Russian pilots were killed after a military helicopter crashed in Crimea. The French company Pernod Ricard announced today that it is ceasing operations in Russia. Remember, they were the idiots that kind of went back and forth, and they pulled out their where they have whiskey and scotch, I think was, or whatever it was, the Jameson and some other brand and remember, I'm the guy who doesn't like scotch or whiskey, so I didn't know what it was, and you guys knew what it was. But Jameson was one of them, and they went back in with those brands into Russia like 2 weeks ago, and we were like, "What are you doing?" At the same time, the Swedes made them pull out the vodka. I think are they whatchamacallit? Pernod is in Pernod, beef eaters and Jameson. That's what it was. Isn't Pernod? It's not Absolute. It is Absolute. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, they pulled out Absolute from Russia because the Swedes were the ones who actually make it were going ballistic. And anyway, and then when they pulled out the Absolute vodka from Russia, Pernod put out this snippy statement about how the only reason we're doing it is because these protesters are threatening our employees. And it wasn't like because we don't want to make money off of genocide, right? So. Anyway, they moved the Jameson and the beef eaters, so gin and whiskey or whatever it is, back into Russia. They started selling it again like 2 weeks ago. And all we know is today it was announced they're stopping. So I will say kudos to whoever internationally was able to put enough pressure on these idiots. But I mean, man, there are bad companies out there, but these French companies sometimes, thank you, Adam, for that, are just, they take the, boy. Parties to the Black Sea Grain Pact are nearing a deal to extend the grain exports from Ukraine. Good news. Let's see what happens, but that's good news. And finally, I just wanted to mention the Turkish elections because there was news this week that we didn't mention, but it is relevant for Ukraine. There's Turkey, like, I don't know, not like our country, but maybe like some of yours. Oop, was it Ahuva? Oh, it is Ahuva. Okay. Turkey has an election system where the president has to get more than 50% of the vote. In America, that's not the case, but in Turkey, it is. So initially, the big voting blocks were Erdogan and his big opponent, whose last name I can't pronounce. I think it starts with a K, but it's impossible to pronounce. At least reading it is impossible to pronounce. Those are the big two, and they were very close in the polls. His opponent was maybe 1% ahead, and by 1% ahead, that means tied, because right with the margin of error, it could be either. There were other opposition candidates as well running. One guy who just dropped out was getting as much as 5% of the vote. Several percentage points. I read at one point maybe as much as 5%. He just dropped out. There were a lot of scandals or whatever. I believe he dropped out and then threw his support behind the main opposition candidate. Now, we don't know how many of his votes will go to the main guy, but if you're the opposition, you're probably not voting for Erdogan, right? Especially in a country like Turkey where Erdogan's a little bit of a dictator. If you didn't like the guy, you're probably not going to like him, just because your guy dropped out. So either they're not voting at all, or the thought is at least 2 or 3% of them may vote for the opposition guy that we're all rooting for, the top guy that's tied with Erdogan, which means if he was tied in the polls, he could be 2 or 3% up in the polls. That's a big deal. The election is on Sunday. You've got to get more than 50% or there's a runoff. But with this kind of stuff, again, they said it is certainly possible that he could breach the 50% he needs to avoid the runoff because of this shakeup, but nobody knows. Very cool. Very cool. That's it. So that's it for the news. We will do questions, of course. I've also got a store. It's store.aravosis.com. You can find the link in my bio. Go to my Linktree link in my bio on TikTok. You'll find my store is one of the links that you click through. You guys, aravosis.com. But the cool thing with the store is we've got a number of items of Ukrainian cool stuff from Ukraine that we brought. Or not brought, I'm sorry. My store is t-shirts and sweatshirts that we've made with Ukrainian designs, Ukrainian themed stuff. And 50% of the profits from that, obviously got to pay the company that makes them. But 50% of the profits of all the Ukrainian stuff we're channeling back into Ukraine. We've been using it for humanitarian aid lately, for some of the military stuff as well, camouflage nets, or these drones, these drone extenders, all these kind of things. So do check out my store as well. It's another way to support my work, but also by supporting my work, supporting the Ukrainians. So please do check that out. And please do keep the gifts coming. We got Q&A. Doesn't mean you can, doesn't mean you can, doesn't mean you have to stop giving gifts. I wasn't going to say it doesn't mean you can stop giving gifts. I'm not going to lecture you about it. But yeah, so let's start the Q&A. I will pull up some TikTok questions, and obviously you guys can throw questions. You can throw questions on the screen, but sometimes I kind of lose them. Do you think Putin's losing power, Lilo?
No.
I had read something in the last day that it was that Putin wasn't going to get overthrown or anything, but the battle, maybe this was Institute for Study of War, that was saying like this whole thing with Prigozhin, right? The thank you, Paul. Prigozhin, the Wagner Group leader, and even Kadyrov was speaking out, because Kadyrov was siding with Prigozhin and saying, look, Ministry of Defense, you need to explain this ammunition situation. Why are you not giving him weapons, right? The fact that they were able to go public and cause hell, and the fact that it looks like the Russian Ministry of Defense, and thus Putin, backed down and said, we'll give you more weapons, meant Putin is now negotiating with his generals, in essence. I mean, they're not, well, I guess Kadyrov probably calls himself a general. I don't know what Prigozhin calls himself. What does Prigozhin call himself militarily? Does anybody know? But nonetheless, he's negotiating with his commanders, which is not great. And they were saying that showed like a growing weakness in terms of how Putin was managing the military. But I don't think he's losing power. The thing he'll lose power with eventually is if things go so poorly that people close to him go, you know what? Enough of us are not happy with how things are going. But, I mean, in Russia, you still could die if you do that very easily, right? Well, that's interesting. So Tired Guy, I took an allergy pill before the show, which I knew it was going to make me yawn about an hour in. What are the odds that Erdogan pulls a Lukashenko, who's the dictator in Belarus, just northwest of Ukraine, big Putin ally, and stops the vote after like 20% of votes cast and claims total victory? There is a chance. He had already been making noise about, I think Ukraine should take back Crimea. Yes, Sparky or Sparkle. Erdogan in Turkey was already making noise, that the current president was already making noise of not accepting the election results, right? That they're whatever, whether they're fake or they're whatever it is. So there was concern about him pulling a Trump and basically saying, no, I'm not going to accept it. So, let's see what happens. Again, the U.S. is not going to be thrilled if one of its top allies does that. And as much as Biden understands foreign policy, so he would be sympathetic to Turkey because Turkey matters for U.S. foreign policy, Biden is also a Democrat, which means he's going to put a lot more importance on democracy as well than a Republican might in the same position, possibly. My point isn't to criticize Republicans, it's to say that because it's Biden and a Democrat, you may get a stronger reaction against Turkey if, in fact, he tries to overturn the election, because then it's a coup. And you could see, and you may very well see Republicans and Democrats in Congress, because honestly, I think the MAGA Republicans probably like Turkey because he's become autocratic and likes the Russians. But the normal Republicans are probably not thrilled about Turkey because they feel like Turkey's jacking us around, that Turkey isn't being a good ally, so you might see Congress come and yank, any kind of aid we're giving to Turkey if we're still giving any aid. I mean, Turkey's got to worry about it in the long run because we need them, but they need us. Do they really want to start getting, all 100% Russian weapons instead of American weapons? Really? While Greece is getting the F-35 and all the great American weapons, Turkey's going to get the crappy Russian stuff? It's like, okay, right? Okie dokie. If they oust Erdogan, will Turkey join NATO and the EU soon? Turkey is already a member of NATO. They just don't act like it. Actually, very funny you didn't know, because that's exactly the point. They act in a way that you'd go, Turkey's a member of NATO? They're a member of NATO. Yeah. The European Union, it's being held up. The main reason that I know is because of Cyprus. The Turks invaded The invasion was messy. The Greeks effed around as well back then with a coup and other stuff. The Turks invaded and then literally lopped off a third of Cyprus and said, it's an independent country now. And it's the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, they call it. Turkey is the only country in the world that recognizes it, at least last time I checked. And it's kind of obnoxious. I mean, they literally invaded an independent country and just stole a third of it and said, you're Turkish now. And until they give that up, Greece is vetoing them joining the EU, which makes sense. So they're not joining the EU until Cyprus gets resolved. And I don't know whether they've it's like Berlin. I mean, you go and visit. I've been to Cyprus and there's literally a no man's zone with Greek. So you're in the middle of Nicosia, the downtown, and there's Greek soldiers, a checkpoint. You see Turkish soldiers away, and there's a dead zone of stores and businesses that nothing has happened there since, I think, was it 1973? I think since 1973, nothing has happened. These stores are frozen in time. It's wild, really wild. Cyprus, the rest of Cyprus is great. I mean, real Cyprus that I visited was beautiful and nice people. The old villages were gorgeous too. They had some villages that clearly went back old. Like in Greece, a lot of the old villages don't have a old look to them. In Cyprus, they reminded me of some of the old Italian villages. Thank you, Rainbow Rain. I was really impressed. I like Greek villages, but it's hard to explain what a Greek village is. This reminded me more like my friend's grandma's village that was, maybe half an hour outside of Nicosia. Her village looked like you were on a Greek island, walking through the little pathways that are all painted white, and with the stone, and the sides of every wall was white. And this wasn't a tourist village. This was just grandma's village. Really cool. Yeah, she was baking bread. I wish I'd spent more time with grandma because I love to bake, but I wasn't making bread at that point. But she had one of those ovens that are like those beehive ovens that they put the wood inside and making bread. And oh my God, I mean, it was just homemade olive bread. Oh, by Greek yaya, by Greek grandma in Cyprus. It was like, oh, amazing, absolutely amazing. We pull up another TikTok question. Oop, hang on, TikTok. Retry my connection. There we go.
What up?
Who is that guy? There's some guy.
Together, my friend.
Oh, he's a Eurovision guy.
Play some PlayStation or something like that.
Oh, is he the Ukrainian guy?
Take some pina colada.
Karija?
I want to go to the bar.
Karija? Seems a little weird for my taste, but that's okay. It's some Eurovision contestant who keeps popping up on my TikTok. Karija. Not my taste of clothing, but that's fine. Do you think Biden should stop messing about and be a lot more stronger with Russia? Is because this could shell weak and could affect re-election? I don't know what's going on with Biden. I mean, I've talked enough about Biden over the last several days. You guys know, where I don't want to keep bashing him every day, but I think he's too afraid of Putin. I think, or let me say that more nicely. He's too fearful of what Putin might do if Putin gets angry. Okay. And I think, doing any analysis of this, Putin ought to be worried about what happens when we get angry. And I think he normally would be, but I think we've put him in a position where he's less worried about it. If I were Putin, he took Brittany Griner. We got down on our knees and gave up we gave up a horrific. I mean, the guy we gave up was a horrific criminal. I mean, what was he? The butcher of what? I mean, this guy responsible for he was the arms merchant to ISIS and Al Qaeda. I mean, this guy was horrific. And again, poor Brittany. But, Brittany decided to go to Russia 10 days before an invasion that we all knew. The more I think about it, the more I really get pissed about that. 10 days before the invasion, she decided to go to Russia, or 7 days, because she wanted to make a lot of money. You know what? You don't go to Russia 10 days before they're invading an ally when we're getting involved in the entire thing. I'm sorry. But then we decided to pay off Russia for Merchant of Death. That was the guy's name. His nickname was the Merchant of Death. We gave him up to Russia for Brittany. Then what happens? They decide to steal the Wall Street Journal reporter because, hey, Americans, they're worth a lot. And now with the Wall Street Journal reporter, the report yesterday is the Biden administration is looking at talking to countries around the world if anybody has another high-level Russian spy that we can give them. And we're looking at limited sanction relief, whether there's some of the sanctions for Russia on Ukraine or on Russia for Ukraine, that maybe we can lift some of them to make it a little easy for Russia and to buy them off to release the Americans. Well, you know what's going to happen next? They're going to kidnap me and you next is what's going to happen, because apparently we're like a walking ATM for these guys. So I'm sorry. I think, and again, with the way stuff has happened with the war, at the beginning of the war, there was way too much talk on the American side about World War III. We can't give planes to I was about the planes. We can't give fighter jets to Ukraine. That'll be World War III. Russia has nukes. If we get into a war with a country that has worse, that's World War III. Repeatedly, this comment was made over a period of a few months. I'm Vladimir Putin. I hear this, and I hear an American leader say, so you're scared S-list of me, shit-list of me, because I've got nukes, and you just admitted that no matter what I do, you can't afford getting into a war with me, because if you get into a war with me, it'll be World War III and the end of the world. That means I can do pretty much anything, and you still won't go to war with me because it's the end of the world. Anything I do as Putin is less than the end of the world. So yes, I think, and he's getting bad. It's not just him. He got bad advice from Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, is what it's looking like. He's getting bad advice from General Milley, I heard. And both of them there's two things going on. One, telling him, cornering Putin, very dangerous. The other thing, and I think this is certainly Jake Sullivan, I think Jake Sullivan's telling him, Ukraine doesn't matter. It's 43 million people. If they all get killed, it's sad, but I mean, look at the guy's face. He's like, a robot. I think he's Chat GPT that's been been given a soul. And I think he thinks Ukraine literally doesn't matter. Let the Russians take it. Who cares? What are they going to do? They're not going to invade Poland. They're not. I mean, this was I'm guessing his argument. They're not going to invade Poland. They're not going to invade everybody else. They're NATO. It's not going to happen. So why are we spending so much time and money with Ukraine when we've got to worry about China? And we're emboldening the China-Russia relationship, right? That relationship got stronger because of Ukraine. And we did it ourselves. We made them stronger. And now both of them are going to be stronger fighting us in Taiwan. That's his argument, I think. And I think it's a BS argument, because I think it is very dangerous, emboldening. Russia's already proven to us how dangerous they could be. But all of that needs to change, or Biden's not going to change. So I don't know how that happens. Jake Sullivan leaves. Maybe if the next national security or the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is better, the new guy who's coming in the fall, October, who knows? Who knows? Oh, she's sleeping, Mom. Kukla, go on, eat. Go on. Of course, my dog's coming. My mom's trying to call her dog, who of course can't hear. So she doesn't hear much. She hears like pounding. So she calls my mom's dog. So what happens? My dog wakes up and goes running in the kitchen because she knows she gets a treat every time Mom feeds her dog. Kukla, go. Go on. Don't lick me. Go get your food. Go on. Kukla, go. Okay. I give up with you. All right. I try. I mean, Kukla's great, but she just kind of, she ain't coming. Susan, how loud are drones when flying? She's not coming, Mom. She's not coming. She's just sitting here. Kukla, here. Go. Come on. Here. Go. All right. Now she's walking to the door. There you go. All right. So Kukla's on her way. How loud are the drones? This is the best part. I've got a dog bed underneath me here at the desk. Sasha usually sleeps in the bed. This time, Kukla had it, so Sasha was on the chair next to me. The second Kukla left the room to go, thank you, Teresa. The second Kukla left the room to get dinner, my mom's dog, Sasha jumped out, and she's lying in the bed now. She gets so pissed whenever the dogs are like jealous of the bed, but it's the funniest damn thing. Literally, it's like, if you don't call window, it's not yours. Kukla's a Russian spy, honestly. Oh, Kukla's Russian for toy? Yeah, in Greek, Kukla means doll. It means honey, like sweetie, honey. It's a term of endearment, but it literally is a doll, like a girl or a boy's doll. So yeah, I suspect we probably got the word similar in a number of our languages, would be my guess. Susan, yeah. How loud are the drones when flying over the soldiers? It's not a dumb question. No, first, it depends. I mean, we know the Russian Shahed drones are loud and sound like, is it lawnmowers or what? Thank you, Drew, for that. There's a very distinctive sound that people say that they hear. It's the buzzing sound of the drone. And I want to say lawnmower. I'm forgetting but it's quite loud. They hear it. They definitely hear it. Sam is saying from Twitch, volume of the drone depends on the type and how far away it is. A lot of times we don't even hear them. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. A weed eater. Oh, a weed eater. Now that makes it, yeah, like you're right. Those weed eaters, those like things that you use to cut the weeds on the side of the grass, and they go, that's the sound I remember hearing, at least of the Shahed drones, the Iranian suicide drones. But also, depending on the size of the drone, it may have a more manly sound, right? A more like roar versus a very scary insect, right? Small combustion engines, yeah. I mean, the other thing too, I just hear constant ringing thanks to tinnitus. I'm sorry about that. But it probably, but I'm curious, like Russian troops, to what degree do they hear the drones? I mean, we know they don't always hear the drones, right? Because we've seen videos. I mean, I've seen videos of Russians in a trench, and sometimes they look up right when a grenade's getting dropped, but other times there's a grenade going down and there's no looking up, right? Actually, I was also watching a video today. It was not gory, so it was interesting. I sent it to my nephew. It was showing the Ukrainians using two drones. One was the American suicide drone, whose name I'm escaping me, and you guys know what I mean. What's it called? And the other one was a 3-letter drone. Hang on. I texted to my nephew. I can read it to you. You know the American one. I'm spacing out. Here is this. Oh yeah, Switchblade, exactly. Switchblade's the American ones, and FPV, F as in Frank, P as in Paul, V as in Victor. I don't know what drones those are, FPV. But it's showing that, and what's interesting about it is a couple times it's vehicles, but a couple times it's people, and the people do not like look up or look back when it's coming at them. So it depends how fast it's going, but also how loud it really is. First person view, okay. It depends how loud they are. I don't know. I mean, and if they're in open space, when there's noise nearby, you're in a forest, I mean, or right by a forest, it could be quiet nature. It could be loud nature if you've got a lot of insects and everything else, right? So who knows? Yeah, that's interesting. FPV is just a style. Okay. Homeroom open source software. Okay. Because, yeah, they were calling it FPV, or the, I'm going to kill myself here. I'm not tired. Switchblade. I know that name, Switchblade. I just keep forgetting it. Send an interesting question. That's okay, Paul. I'll take a look. Let me take a look. If you say it's interesting, I'll trust you here. Hang on. Sorry. Another TikTok question here. Just wondering, do you think the U.S. allowed the UK to send the missiles because the UK has a Russian spy? Oh, that's funny. Possibly. Clearly the U.S. had to agree. Okay. Clearly the U.S. had to agree for the U.K. to send those cruise missiles to Ukraine. And I say had, I mean in a sense of comity, comity, a sense of kinship, the way our countries work together. Britain wouldn't just go and say, screw you, Biden. I know you think it's escalating and dangerous. I'm doing it anyway. The Brits would never do that to Biden, to an American president, where there's a good working relationship, right? The question really there is what made Biden come around, right? What made Biden come around when, as I was saying, the reasons being given were reasons that aren't being met. I mean, meaning supposedly Biden was worried Ukraine might try to attack Russia itself with long-range drones. Well, they can attack Russia just as easily with the British drones as they can the American, not British drones, British missiles, I'm sorry, than the American missiles. So that fear has not been quelled. The other fear was that Putin would so freak out that he'd do something bad, that it would cross a line for Putin and he'd do something. Well, why would the same weapon system, basically, and in some ways better, coming from the Brits, not cross a line for Putin, but it would if it came from the Americans? That doesn't make sense. And it's not like he likes the Brits anymore. The Russians hate the Brits possibly more than they hate us, which is always fascinating to me and funny. So you'd have to kind of know why was Biden opposed that he came around. But maybe he did kind of link it. And maybe the Brits even said, like, hey, you know what? We've got the spy. He could be useful to you. We'd like to send these. Do you, we'd like your permission, or we'd like your agreement. Do you think maybe we could work a deal? I could see them saying that. It's possible. Certainly possible. And that is a good use for a spy. I think, give a few spies back and it means we can give Ukraine much better weapons. I'm more amenable to that. Oh God, PB&J, what will NATO take away or learn from Ukraine's success? I mean, there's so much. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, obviously the whole drone issue has changed warfare in many ways. I was trying to think, like at the beginning of the war, they were talking a lot about this too, that Ukraine was like this is the first big recent war taking on the Russians and seeing how they operate and what works and what doesn't work. And the fact, actually, I know what it was too. It was that the Ukrainians have learned so much in terms of sort of this, not just modern warfare, but almost guerrilla warfare at the same time. Not guerrilla, but thank you. I would block, is it? For the hat there. I would block me too for the hat there. But they, thank you, Carol. That the Ukrainians have learned so much that we don't know, that they actually would be giving us lessons when the war is over. They'd be training our troops on everything they've learned. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough whether, thank you, Martin, for that, whether, any of the military folks would be able to give us something more specific and say, oh yeah, specifically this area, we're dying for the Ukrainians to teach us or tell us. But there's a ton I know all over the place. So, we'll see. I mean, actually, part of it too is how are they so good? How are they such quick studies too? I mean, that's interesting because you would like to know, like, how did you get the workforce and the military people and everything that they're this quick of a study on so many of the tech things, because we consider ourselves, thank you, Nico. We consider ourselves having a big tech savvy pool of young people as well. Right. But I mean, we're good. But I don't even know if we'd say we're as again MacGyver-ish as the Ukrainians seem to be. Maybe we are. I don't want to say we're not, but damn, they're very good. Thank you, Stephen, for just purchasing the 1 month subscription. Appreciate that. All right, guys. Any more big questions? Otherwise, I think we can go. We can go to Discord for a few minutes. I'm not going to go long because, first of all, I noticed this morning my voice was getting bad again, but I think, here's my suspicion. I think this happened last time around this time because I was doing several months. Thank you, Chaz, for the Friday. I was doing several months of the show every day. And then my voice started going. And remember, I took off and everything else. And then I started doing 5 days a week. I think it's allergy. Now I'm thinking it is allergies. Because I was noticing in the last couple of days. In any case, so I want to be careful with the voice since tomorrow is us hanging out for 4 hours. But I can go for a few minutes of Discord. I will do that. Okay. Let's do that. I will do the quick Slavic MacGyvers would be a great t-shirt, Poppy. Paul Gray says we need a Slavic MacGyvers t-shirt. Now, actually, that would be freaking brilliant. That would be freaking brilliant. But again, the problem is, I keep relying on Poppy, who's very busy. If there's anybody else who can design as well, who's willing to give us the design to sell, just basically we've been doing half the profits for me to be able to do this, and half of it we send directly to Ukraine. All of Lad's work he's been doing at the military and the humanitarian stuff. McCrane could be McCrane. I think, yeah, but he's got to be MacGyver. I think you have to say MacGyver. Although MacGyver, the problem is, of course, using the word MacGyver could be a problem, right? That could be an issue too, in terms of selling them, because that could be a copyright thing. We'll have to think about that. That could be a copyright problem. Thank you, Ellie, for that. All right, let me do a quick summary of the issues. And then, as I said, I'll go over to the Discord, discord.aravosis.com. Remember, we've got the free items I'm giving away tomorrow. I've got a military patch I've got a fridge magnet. It's a Ukrainian fridge magnet in the commemorating the stamp with the Russian warship "Go F Yourself." It's a Ukrainian soldier flipping the bird to the Moskva, the ship that the Ukrainians then sank 6 weeks later. So that's one of the free gifts. I'm also giving away 2 small pieces of the Berlin Wall that I broke off December 3rd, 1989 at 2 in the morning when I was there for arms control work when I was in the United States Senate. So that's very cool. And the nice part about this, even though it's small, but the nice part about this is I've got like all the provenance from when I was there, pictures of me and everything. So it's kind of cool because at least I wouldn't trust anything online I was getting that claimed to be the Berlin Wall, unless literally, somehow, but because of the provenance, I wouldn't trust it. This, I got the provenance nailed. Like I said, not only pictures, but I mean, I've got the proof that I was in the Senate, that I was in the delegation, the whole deal. So very cool. But the way you can get those is joining us tomorrow afternoon when I will be announcing the winners. But I will be announcing the winners. You have to sign up for my Discord, go to the auction section. Once you click the read me and all that, go to the auction section and leave a comment in the auctions you're interested that say the free auctions. The other auctions are real auctions, but the free auctions, just go in and leave your comment. So, all right, let me do a quick summary and then like I said, I'll go over to discord.aravosis.com. I'll go over for a little bit with you guys. So Ukrainian armed forces have begun shaping operations, according to U.S. officials. The Ukrainians hit a factory or oil depot, we don't know, in eastern Ukraine, Luhansk. It looked like they used the British cruise missiles, which was a big deal. Stephen wants me to get the map for Roshan because Roshan gets very upset when she doesn't have the Ukrainian map. So there you go, Stephen. Roshan gets her map. Yay. There was a long discussion we had about those cruise missiles. Thank you for the hat there. I would block me. Parts of occupied city of Melita are without power. The Ukrainians knocked it out as part of the preparations for the war. Ukraine's getting ready to deploy a new Ukrainian-made tank. Russia tried to destroy a U.S.-made Patriot battery. And while the missiles were coming in, the Ukrainians said, why don't we use the Patriots and destroy the Russians instead? And they did. That's how the hypersonic missile was destroyed. Oh, Kathleen. Thank you, Kathleen. You get the wave. Kathleen did the very generous whale, the new and improved whale. They changed it. Thank you for that, Kathleen. You've been on a run today. On a roll, I should say, today. Thank you. Flint. I do draw the line somewhere, Flint. Flint wanted a closer read of the map. There you go. There's your map, Flint. All right. All right. All right. Kathleen has been on a wave. All right, Flint. So the Ukrainians were able to knock the hypersonic missile out of the sky using the Patriot that the Russians were trying to target with the hypersonic missile. You're welcome, which is hilarious. Bakmut, you have Prigozhin. Was this the one? Yeah. Yes. Prigozhin responded to the Russian Ministry of Defense saying that they were moving troops out of Bakmut to better defensive positions. Prigozhin went online and said they weren't moving into better positions. They were fleeing. They were running. They didn't regroup somewhere. They literally ran in terror. Funny, but may not keep his life going too long. Thank you, I would block for the origami. Czech President Petr Pavel says that he thinks there is a very high likelihood that Ukraine will be successful in its counteroffensive. Thank you for the caps there. I would block. 2 Russian pilots were killed after their helicopter crashed in Crimea, occupied by the Russians right now. Institute for the Study of War says that the unnamed Kremlin sources claim that the Wagner Group leader is seriously disturbing the top leadership of Russia. The French company Pernod Ricard says that it will cease operations in Russia, which is good because they were being idiots. Parties to the Black Sea Grain Pact are nearing a deal. And the Turkish elections are coming on Sunday. And it looks like the opposition leader got a boost when another opposition leader dropped out and threw his support, which is a big deal. Where the UN is located? Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. That is it for today. Thank you for the gifts. You guys were very generous. I didn't even get to notice the trolls today. I don't think I noticed like one troll that I blocked. That was it. But I'm sure they were going crazy. Thank you, Daniel. We still have to try again. Not for lack of trying, Daniel. All right, I'll leave it at that. Not for lack of trying. But you should join us tomorrow anyway if you're around. We're doing our Eurovision thing. We'll be doing for a good 4.5 hours. Last year it was 4.5 hours. So yes, just a reminder, folks, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, actually a little before 3 p.m. Eastern time US, I'll be going live on TikTok, live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere else. And we will hang out and watch the Eurovision content. Last year was fun. We had like a couple hundred people on TikTok, I don't know, 100 of you guys, and we just hung out and had it on our respective TVs or computers, but it was just like hanging out and shooting the bull. And then, as I said, I will be giving away some free gifts as well, that if you go to my Discord and you sign up, you will see the free gifts listed in my auction. Literally, it says free in front of each one. Go in there, add a comment in the comments, and I will pick from one of the comments. I will pick the winners. It'll be done randomly. I've got a way of doing it. So, let's go. How do you get on Discord? You go to discord.aravosis.com, and hopefully the setup works for you. It's not always easy. I don't know if others can say what the easiest way is to set up on Discord. Is it easier on a computer? Maybe before I sign off, I'll get that advice from folks. Is it easier to sign up with Discord via computer versus a phone or something? Just real quick for folks. Yep. No, thank you. I would block. You've been wonderful. I appreciate all your support. You were great today. But the app is easiest. Okay. So they're saying you should use the app. So if you're using a phone, download the free Discord app. You may need to app via phone is easy. Okay. Now, and do you need to create an account first on the app? I'm assuming, and then go to discord.aravosis.com. But that's my last question, then I'll sign off. Do you once you're there, for the sign up, once you're there in the Discord, the first thing it's going to make you do is sign a little thing or click a little thing that says, I agree to the terms. Okay. So download the Discord app, create a free account. Okay. Then go to discord.aravosis.com. You'll join my Discord. You'll see a little thing. Thank you for that, Melanie. You'll see a little thing that says, I accept the terms of this Discord. When you click it, it then opens up everything else to your view. You can see everything at that point. Once you can see everything else, you'll see the auctions in the left-hand side. You'll scroll down. You'll see the auctions. You'll see the VIP and the regular. The VIP are for the people who want to do a paid subscription to support my work. The public is for everybody else. VIP is, for not everybody else. The public is for everybody. So the VIPs can use the public, or non-paying people can do the public auctions. And there's the free items. And frankly, there's the other items too, if you want to bid. I mean, there's some really cool stuff. It's like, no one's bid yet on the stamps. I think the stamps are gorgeous. They're these, it's the sister stamps of, we had the woman before. This is the man. And they're based on Ukrainian Slavic myths. And he's like the father of the earth or something. Really cool. But it's this beautiful artist did this beautiful, intricate design, and it's this bright red. Anyway, I think it's stunning. But I only put them up yesterday, but nobody bid yet on the stamps. And I was like, these stamps are gorgeous, people. Come on. I'm going to frame them if you don't buy them. And the auctions that I actually sell stuff, half the money goes to Ukraine, half the money supports my work. So we keep basically buying things in Ukraine with the intent of making money to help support the work we're doing back there. So anyway, hair. All right, guys, the stamps are gorgeous, aren't they? Like I said, I think but who knows? We'll see if people are into them. The woman's gone. Yes. No, I auctioned off the woman 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I'll try to get more, because the woman one was really beautiful too. But the guy one is very much like, it's a guy. It's a different myth. He's Svarog, and I forget who she was. I had her name. She was, I'm forgetting. I had it somewhere. But he's Svarog, Svarog. But I think he's the masculine to her feminine in the old Slavic mythology, basically. Our money in Ukraine, well, actually, I've got a video up talking about a lot of it, but I've been working through my friend Vlad, who is very close to a lot of people, but he's from Kharkiv. So initially we were raising a lot of money for a charity called Kharkovu Mir in Kharkiv that is basically a Meals on Wheels charity. They, at the beginning of the war, were going in because people were stuck, for example, in subways, right? People couldn't go back to their homes. For 2 months, they were living in subways. They needed food, they needed clothes. So Harkovomir would go out, buy food, make it in batches in their, offices, deliver it to the subways, set up food stations in the subways. People would come with Tupperware, plastic, and get their food. They also they started getting supplies for people too, because a lot of the people were, the public auction should not be locked if you've gone and done your verification. You got to be verified. You go to the read, right? You went to the README and clicked the whatever it is. It should be. In any case, we've been helping them with a lot. They've been doing a lot of their food deliveries. We helped get them 2 vehicles to do their food deliveries. We bought them a lot of food. Actually, we got them my hair. We did the food deliveries. We got them 2 vehicles. I'm not going to go through all of it now. I did the other day, actually went through a lot of it, but we got them 2 vehicles to do the food deliveries and then bought them a ton of food in the vehicles, got them that. But we've also gone to a disability center in Eastern Ukraine that was right on the front line with the Russian troops, and they couldn't get supplies because it was literally there on the front line. But we got supplies into them. We got a bunch of Christmas gifts for Ukrainian kids whose parents were killed by the Russians in the war. So they're in orphanages, but they're orphaned kids. And the Ukrainian soldiers were going and bringing the gifts. So we bought the gifts for them to give the kids. God, so much. I bought 10 or 12,000, I've got it in my notes, dollars worth of medical kits for Ukrainian military that we sent with Razom for Ukraine, which is one of the biggest charities out of New York. I mean, huge. These guys send enormous quantities every day of aid. And what I did in that case was you could buy stuff on Amazon for them. So I went and got the money from you guys for these kits, and we got like literally over $10,000 and spent all of it on the medical kits for the troops, had Amazon send it free. I have Amazon Prime, Amazon free to Razom for Ukraine, and they packed it up and sent it with their aid shipments to Ukraine. Anyway, lots of different ways, but we've been working with a lot of different people, basically, is my point. But a lot of it has been Harkovomir, which is an established charity that has a lot of contacts with the military. So yeah, it's been going great. I mean, it's been amazing. So, all right. Auctioning off women. We are not auctioning off women. Not yet. Auctioning off women? Did I write something funny? I don't know. The magnet's very cool. The magnet's very cool. So yes, you create a Discord account first. You stay logged in, then click on the invite. Discord.aravosis.com. All right, let's go to the Discord. If there's more problems with Discord, I could try to help you guys another day. All right, guys, let's sign off, but thank you. It takes you to the subscription page to pay. And if you look closely on that page, it doesn't say you have to. There's something on there that says, I just want to get in there anyway. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, I'd love you to pay, but I will go look myself and I will show you how it works. Hold on, the subscription page. I'm pulling up food. I'm making Greek food tomorrow, or today and tomorrow. So I've got my pasticcio recipe up. So it pulls up this page, right? You scroll on this page. It says important, buy your subscription. It tells you you can start the free trial and all the trials that cost you, or you can just click join server for free. So you don't have to pay. I'd love you to pay, but you don't have to pay. Oh, that's right. We did the Sign My Rocket, which was that was different group of people who were giving donations to other Ukrainian charities. Anyway, I probably need to. I mean, I've tallied it before. I probably need to tally it. It wouldn't hurt to tally it and just do an update, because I think it's nice to let people know in an ongoing sense what we've been doing. Because it's nice. I mean, we have been letting you know, but I mean, sort of holistically reminding folks. Anyway, all right, your bid for Roshan, £5. Hey, I don't think we bid on the Irish. I wouldn't bid on an Irish woman if I were you. It'll be the last bid you make. So she'll be bidding on you or on your body parts. All right, guys, let's go over there. And like I said, I'll spend a couple more minutes on the Discord, and then I'm going to go to have dinner and save my voice for tomorrow. But tomorrow will be fun. We always have a good time hanging out. So, all right. I could keep doing this all night, but I'm not going to. Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Oops. I'm like, I love when I try to click on my computer screen because I've been thinking of my iPad. I literally went to click with my finger. That was funny.